What's poppin', y'all? It's your boy P with the plug, 1/4 through the wire, #1 Knicks fan in the world, aka Mr. Know-It-All. And I'm taking a break with the Orlando Magic rebuild to stop in and create a video that's going to really give you guys an understanding of the sliders and the rosters that I'm using. Because I've seen in the first few episodes that I've dropped in the comments, a lot of people have confused, they have questions, they don't get it. Some people have had criticism, believe it or not. So I'm here to just answer all of that and put everything to bed and really give guys an understanding of why we're doing what we're doing and to really let you inside the brains of the people that I'm getting this information from. So before I even dive in, I want to give a shout out to my guy Schneid over at Sim Gaming Network. Follow him on Twitter at Sim Gaming Network. Subscribe to him on YouTube at Sim Gaming Network. Also shout out to the guys over at Operation Sports, CelticLG. Those are the guys who put together the attention to detail rosters that I use. So I had to give them a shout out because Schneid is really the guy who's giving me all of the information and opened up my eyes of seeing how broken the game is when you don't use the attention to detail rosters or when you don't use the sliders. So right now what I've done is I've opened up my NBA with a random team. I guess I'm controlling the 76ers. It's not the player or do anything, but I have all the players in the league in front of me, and I'm using 2K's rosters. These aren't the attention to detail rosters that I'm using in my rebuild. As you can see, a lot of people have made a fuss about Zach LaVine being an 81 at the beginning of my rebuild. When they saw the rosters, he was an 81. In 2K's, he's an 88. So that's how you know I'm actually using 2K's official rosters. So we have all the players in front of us. That's a lot to break down. I don't even know where to start. But I am going to tell y'all some numbers that I did get from my guy Schneid. One, like I said, a lot of this, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. But Schneid said to me, right, he's been doing sliders for a while now, so he has information from past games. In NBA 2K21, there was 65 players between the overalls of 80 and 89, and there was like 17 players in the 90s. He said that was a well-balanced year as far as ratings. Now we jump ahead to 2 years to the current game that we're playing, which is 2K21, and we have 94 players between the overalls of 80 and 89, and we have 19 players between the ratings of 90 and 99. And then he said, when you do a simulation of my NBA, a franchise, whatever you want to call it, with the 2K rosters and the 2K attributes and all their ratings, when you sim in the first year, after the first year, there's going to be 121 players between 80 and 89. I'm not one to toot my own horn or pull out, you know, what I do card, but I cover the NBA. A lot of y'all know me from Through the Wire podcast. I'll be the first to tell you, there's never been a time where there's been 121 players that have been between an 80 and 89 as far as real life. If you think about real life, how you would rate players, we don't have 121 players that are between 80 and 89. If we're just keeping it a buck, we don't. And if we talk about true superstars in the league, the LeBron Jameses, the Giannis's, Kawhi, Steph, Durant, there's only a few of these guys. We don't have 15 Steph Currys just sitting around the league. You know what I mean? Like, these are the greatest players in the game. So there shouldn't really be a lot of, you know, high 90s and 90 overall players when you really think about it. It just shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that way. If we're truly, we don't have like the NBA superstars. We're talking about guys like LeBron James, once in a generational talent. We don't have a lot of those. So for them to say that there's going to be 20 plus 90, between 90 and 99 overall players after a year of simulation or just in general, it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. You know what I mean? Right now in front of us, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 guys who are above 95. We have 6 guys who are above 95. And then we have overall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We have 16 guys between 90 and 99, which is probably about the same thing that we said for 2K13, which to me it's solid because a lot of these guys would be around a 90. Like Clay is around a 90. I guess at this point Zion should be around a 90 or close to it. I don't think Zion, I wouldn't be mad if Zion was an 87 or 88. I wouldn't be mad if Bradley Beal was a straight up 90. Kyrie as good as he is, he's more like an 88, 89. Jimmy Butler, 88, 89. Damian Lillard, 92-ish. Luka should be around 93, 94. Anthony Davis, 94. These two guys, MVP season, I'm fine with at 95. Everything at the top echelon seems good. But when you talk about having 91 players between 80 and 89, like my guy Schneid was telling me in my DM when we were having a conversation, the league just isn't that good. We don't, like, when you look at the NBA, we have high upper echelon teams, and then we have our teams that are garbage. But if everybody is so good in the 80s, how is there ever going to be a clear-cut, discrepancy in the league? And then that's just the start. That's just the start. That's not even talking about the potential rating in the game. There's an attribute in the game right here, the potential rating, that a lot of you guys know about. And if you scroll down, again, another thing Schneid put to my notice, they're all A's. They're A's and B's. Everybody's got a high potential. We down in the 79s, and we just now starting to see our first B minuses. Like, it just isn't like that. It's not like that. And that's a part of why the game is broken. Because if everybody has an A or B potential, that means that when you simulate in a season or a franchise, everybody's getting good. That means everybody in the league is going to get good. And if everybody in the league is getting good, that means everybody in the league is going to want money. And if everybody wants money, that means teams are going to get capped out. And everybody's getting capped out. You can only re-sign your own players that you have bird rights for. And that's how the game gets broken. And that's why we're telling you, with these base rosters, it's only so much you can do in a franchise or my NBA and things like that. And the real NBA, everybody doesn't get better. Somebody has to drop off. Somebody has to not have, like, at this point, if we just look around, I just want to look around the league. I want to look around the league, and I want to find some young players, right? I just want to keep it a buck. Let's just find some young players who have potential. Here's Darius Garland. I think Darius Garland is a solid guard in the league right now. He's only, 20 years old. He has a shit ton of potential. You mean to tell me that Darius Garland at 20 has the same amount of potential as DeMarcus Cousins at 30? DeMarcus Cousins is, I don't know how many injuries removed. He's 30 years old, but he has the same amount of potential as Darius Garland. So when I simulate the game, they're both going to grow together. They're both going to get better. Until DeMarcus Cousins hits his peak age, which is a thing that 2K put in, but it doesn't make sense, because if you have a peak age or a decline, then why is his potential ever an A minus? That's like, it defeats the purpose. It's just dumb. But that's one of the flaws that hurts team building, rebuilding, and that's why we use guys like CelticLG and Schneid 1, is because they point out these things that literally don't make sense. And this is what I mean when I say it's only so much we can do. I can't go in here and change with the potential rate. You know what I mean? Like, and if I take down the slider of potential, then it's going to hurt a guy like Michael Porter Jr. You know what I mean? Again, Michael Porter Jr. has the same potential grade as Mike Conley when Mike Conley is 33 years old and Michael Porter Jr. is 22. He's 11 years older than him on the back half of his career. He's just getting his feet wet, and they have the same potential. So as I simulate, they're both going to get better. And if, like I said, if there's 90-something players between 80 and 89, and they're all having A potentials and A+ potentials and all of this bullshit, hell, before you know it, a lot of guys are going to just be running the league. Like, a lot of these guys are young as hell. You look at De'Aaron Fox, he's an 87 already at 22 with an A potential. So by the time he's 26, he's going to be in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Vucevic is 30. He has a nice 3 years left. He should be a 90. Drew Holiday is only 30. He's going to probably be a 90. He's going to move up to at least an 88, 89. No, nobody's going to get worse. Nobody's really going to get worse. And again, when guys get better because of the 2K and how 2K sliders is, they're going to want more money. And if everybody's getting money, then every team's capped out. And when every team's capped out, you can't come on now. Do I really got to break it down anymore as far as that goes? Another flaw and another thing that really hurts the game that I want to point out to you guys, that was pointed out to me and what Schneid and shed light to me, is there's an overall and there's a rating in the game that serves no purpose. Again, these guys that I'm getting my information from, they're not just anybody's. They're not guys that just have opinions. They're not guys that just trying to tear 2K down. These are guys who are putting hours, days, weeks, months, years into gathering information and really breaking down the science of 2K, really trying to understand every rating, every attribute, what it means, what it does, what it controls, every tendency, and really find every purpose of these numbers. And out of all the tests, after all of the science was done, after all the time was put in, it was found out that the intangibles attribute does nothing. So no matter how high a guy's intangibles rating is, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't make him shoot better, doesn't make him pass better, it doesn't make him defend better, it doesn't make him faster, stronger, it does absolutely nothing. This attribute is literally in the game to inflate overalls, because 2K has made their game overall obsessed, and it's gotten to the point where they've brainwashed a lot of the consumers and a lot of you guys who are complaining about the rosters that I'm using, because you're all you think about is the number, when that number really doesn't mean shit. The overall doesn't mean anything, and I'll show you why. LeBron James is the best player in the league. He's been the best player of our generation. He's the best thing since Michael Jordan. He's really the only guy, him and Kobe Bryant, the only guys that really be in a conversation with Michael Jordan. And a lot of people don't put Kobe in that conversation. That's another thing, but it's always Mike and LeBron, right? Whoever you think is better is whatever, but you got to give LeBron credit, because that conversation is him and Jordan. He's the only guy that's really been in a conversation to challenge Jordan. So if he's that good and his intangible is 85, how the hell is Jokic has a higher intangible than him? I'll show you even worse. LeBron James' intangible is 85. Remember that. Okay? LaMelo Ball, rookie point guard. His intangible was a 90. His intangible was a 90 before they ever put him in the game. Before he ever played a game in the NBA, excuse me. He came into the game as a 77 overall. Day one, his intangible was a 90. The reason being is because they wanted to inflate his overall to please you and to save face for themselves, which tells me when they implemented the actual attributes that mean something, you know what I mean? Like a lot of these other attributes, we know, like speed. Speed is how fast he's going to be. It does something. Defensive rebounding, it's how good of a rebounder he's going to be on the defensive end of the ball. Block rating, it's how good and how much he's going to block shots. It has a purpose, it does something, it has a service. All of these ratings, they have a purpose and they serve a reason of being and existing. You know what I mean? Interior defense is how well he's going to guard on the inside of the paint. Every one of these serve a purpose, but when you get to the intangible rating, it does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. So what 2K does is they say, hey, there's no way we can put out a roster and LaMelo Ball is only a 74. I mean, yeah, only a 74. So what they do is they go into the intangible and they boost that intangible up until they get a number that they think is pleasing and that they think will satisfy the consumers, which is you guys. Because let's be honest, if they did drop the rosters from day one at the beginning of this 2K season, and LaMelo was only a 74, everybody would have reacted and be like, no way in hell, the 3rd overall pick, LaMelo Ball, a guy that we've been watching for years, anticipating him getting to the NBA. There's no way you guys have him as a 74. So they create an attribute that can help them inflate overalls and deflate overalls. Simple. Even if you look around the league, you look at a guy like, let's go back up to Anthony Davis. Prime example. Anthony Davis is a 94 overall. It's the same overall as Luka Doncic and Damian Lillard, right? But if you look at his intangible rating, he's down 33 points than them. They have 98 intangibles. He has a 65. Intangible is in the guard thing. You know how I know that? Because if you look above Anthony Davis, there's 2 big men who also have 98 intangibles. So it can't, the argument of intangibles is a guard rating, or that wouldn't work, because if that was the case, why would Embiid and Jokic have a 98? Make it make sense. So I say to you, there's no way in hell that the intangible between Damian Lillard, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, and Embiid is that much superior to Anthony Davis. There's no way that he's 33 points behind them in any attribute, right? So I say let's even it out. Let's make his intangible rating the same as his other 4 counterparts. And let's see what happens to overall. By the time we make Anthony Davis the same intangible as Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic, he becomes a 96 overall, which would then boost him all the way until the top 5 players in the game. It makes him a better player than Kevin Durant. And that's how they get you guys the ratings that they think you're going to be happy with or that you're not going to be happy with. So I say all of that to say, when you see me using CelticLG rosters and you see a guy with an 81 overall, just know that it's the same shit here. It's the same shit here. The overalls that these players have in the 2K rosters that everybody freaks out about every year when a new 2K drops and they make a whole big deal about their ratings. Oh, we're gonna drop our top 25 player ratings in a week. And everybody's waiting and anticipating to see what their favorite player of their favorite team's rating is going to be. It literally doesn't matter because they have a rating and an attribute as an intangible that can inflate a rating. I literally just made Anthony Davis a 96 overall. He jumped up two ratings. Went from a 94 to a 96 by just adding 30 to his intangible. That does nothing. Again, it's not going to make him jump faster, not going to make him defend better, not going to make him a better shooter, not going to make him a better passer, a better rebounder, or shot blocker. It does nothing. It translates to nothing, and it was able to be powerful enough to boost him 2 overalls higher into the stratosphere of a top 5 player. So now when you get that information, it makes you question everything. It makes you question everything. Is Damian Lillard at a 94? Is he really better than Klay Thompson? They want you to think that because from a perspective or from an image or a visual representation, he's supposed to be better than Klay Thompson, right? Damian Lillard is a better professional basketball player than Klay Thompson. No doubt about it. So 2K has to translate the same things on their game. But when they put in the actual numbers that mean something, Damian Lillard, his overall wasn't better than Klay Thompson. So you know what they have to do? They have to boost his damn intangibles to 98. Because if they didn't, he would be worse than Klay Thompson. And everybody would go crazy. Everybody would say, how the hell is Klay Thompson a higher overall than Damian Lillard? Which is contradictory because 2K already told us a few years back that the ratings matter by position. So like different positions hold different weighting, different meanings and different weight with ratings. Which is why when you go through and you change a guy, like, I'll just do this. You go to a guy like Zion Williamson and have him as a power forward. If I make him a small forward or a shooting guard or a point guard, every position I make him, the overall changes. Because every position is different as far as how they gauge ratings. Which is why I don't understand why 2K even contradicts themselves. Which should tell you that it doesn't matter. So yeah. For all the people that kept saying, why is Zach LaVine an 81? He's an all-star. And my rosters that I use with attention to detail, every rating doesn't hold the same weight. It doesn't. Because like Schneid explained to a person in the comments, and it's for people that know 2K. If you know 2K, you know it's true. If you have a My Career player, would you rather have a My Career player a 90 overall with 0 badges? Or a My Career player with an 80 overall with 27 badges? People that know 2K, you're going to take the 80 overall with 27 badges over a guy that's 90 with 0 badges. So when you see attention to detail rosters that I use and everything, and you see certain players like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like a Zach LaVine, and they may have a lower overall than you're accustomed to seeing, it doesn't mean that they're as good as the other guy. Because I have Chuma Okeke. In my Orlando Magic rebuild, Chuma Okeke is an 81 overall, but he is nowhere near the player that Zach LaVine is. You know why? Because Chuma Okeke has 1 badge or 2 badges, and Zach LaVine has 25 plus. Real 2K people, no, they're going to perform different. Those badges mean a lot. Also, Zach LaVine has tendencies that are going to fit and translate to what Zach LaVine actually does. It's not the same player. 2K has really brainwashed people into thinking that those overalls mean something when they fucking don't. It's just the truth. They don't mean anything, or they don't mean as much as you think they do, because if I made everybody's intangibles a 25, we would see the real players. And that's what Schneid did, and that's what he did when he tested it. And it's a big difference. And that's where attention to detail rosters come in at, right? Where they overhaul the ratings, they overhaul the tendencies, and they make it accurate. You look at some of the tendencies, take time and do some of the research for yourselves, and y'all will see it's a lot of questionable shit. They've already been shown and exposed on Twitter and have gone viral multiple times, where you have players, random players who have crazy tendencies over players that do. You know, there's certain guys in the game that have 3-point tendencies higher than Klay Thompson, and it's like, what? Some guys' dunking tendency isn't as high as others, and they dunk more. Because 2K has lazily made this game where a lot of the shit doesn't make sense. They just put it together real quick, and they try to satisfy you from a visual perception, where all you guys care about is that overall. So they say, hey, we're going to create this thing, this attribute, intangible, where we can just lazily make the players, but with the intangibles attribute, we can create and control the overall. So yeah, if we take LeBron James intangibles down and we make it a 25, let's just say we make everybody a 25, because that's the lowest I think it can go. LeBron James is, in reality, he's really only a 94 overall. He's really only a 94. But if LeBron James came out and was only a 94 in 2K, it would be a shit show. Everybody will go crazy. Like, how is LeBron James only a 94? We take Kawhi Leonard now and we make him a 25 in the intangible, and he's the same rating as LeBron. You see how much that impacts the game? If we zero the intangible out, LeBron and Kawhi are the same overall. 2K is smart enough to know that if they released a game where these two guys were the same rating, people would go bananas. We take Giannis down to a 25 intangible. He's the same. They're all the same fucking rating. What do you know? Again, this is an attribute that holds no weight. I'm gonna say it for like the 100th time. It doesn't make these guys shoot better, defend better, pass better. It doesn't make them do anything better. Anthony Davis drops all the way to a 91. Kevin Durant, we push him down to a 25 intangible. All I'm doing is zero out the intangible rate. He's only one attribute better than Anthony Davis, and he's 2 attributes worse than Kawhi Leonard. So that means Kawhi Leonard on 2K is a better player than Kevin Durant by 2 attributes. It's not as close as they tried to make it. Let's see Steph Curry. Just for the last couple of minutes, I'm going to take some of the top players, and I'm going to just zero out the intangible. Make everybody's intangible the same. Since intangible doesn't mean shit, it doesn't translate to what they do. It doesn't make them do anything better or anything worse. We'll just give all of the elite players a 25 intangible, and we'll see how they shape up. We'll see how they shape up and what their real overalls is, and see who's really the best player or who's really better than who. We're really going to see now. Just curious, just out of curiosity, so y'all could really see the facts. You know, a lot of people had a lot of different things to say when they were seeing the roster that I was using, trying to point out flaws and everything, and I don't understand that. It's like you trying to take up for 2K, which 2K, what are you taking up for them for? And the difference between me using 2K's stuff and using Schneid and CelticLG is that I can talk to Schneid. So yeah, if I do a simulation and a couple of teams are shooting below 40%, and that's kind of peculiar, and it's not supposed to be like that. You know what Schneid does? Schneid hits me up and says, hey bro, I watched episode 1, and after you simulated the season, I saw the stats. That didn't really sit right, so you should adjust this, increase this by 3, drop that by 3, add this up by 5, and do that. You know what happens if that happens in 2K? With their information, their sliders, and their roster, Mike Stauffer or any 2K devs aren't going to hit me up and say, hey P, we saw you do this to fix it, or do this to make it. No. And that's the difference. So after we zeroed out all the intangibles for all of the elite players, Giannis turns out to be the best player in the league at a 94 overall. So a lot of these guys who were 96 and 97 overalls, they're really 94. The best player in the league is really a 94 overall. So there's really no crazy elite player, as they try to make it seem. When you zero it out, Jimmy Butler is the only player I didn't touch. When you zero it out, James Harden is better than Durant and Curry. It's a big difference. It's an extremely big difference, man. It's a big difference. Bradley Beal, I want to do a couple more. Bradley Beal. You zero Bradley Beal out. Let's see what his real overall is. Bradley Beal is only an 86. But because Bradley Beal leads the league in scoring now, he's one of those elite players now. They have to save face and make him a 91 to satisfy all of the new Bradley Beal fans. All of the guys that, hey, Bradley Beal, how is Bradley Beal an 86? He leads the league in scoring. He's a 30-point scorer. So you know what 2K does? They say, yeah, we can't make Bradley Beal an 86 because that's not going to sit right with a lot of people. He's a perennial all-star now. He's the best scorer in the league now. Him being 86 isn't going to sit right. So let's inflate his intangible rating that doesn't mean shit to make him in the 90s so people can be satisfied. Zion Williamson, one of the best up-and-coming players in the league at 20 years old. His intangible is a 98. When we get done with this, when we drop his shit is, he's a 90. Let's see what his shit does, what it drops to. He's an 85 overall. That means, oh man, he's an 85 overall. His intangible rating, that again, I'm gonna say for the last time, it doesn't make players do anything different. It holds no weight. It's literally just there to inflate an attribute. It makes him 5 attributes higher as a player. We just saw a guy drop from a 90 to an 85 because of this intangible rating. Luka is a 90. He's still a 90. Okay, with 25, he's still a 90. Damian Lillard is still a 90. Klay Thompson, drop him down to a 25. He's 2 attributes higher than Zion. And I don't think that's what 2K want. Drop Jason Tatum down. He was an 89. We pull him down to 25. He's an 85. He's an 85. Drop Kyrie down. Kyrie probably still gonna be high. It's 89. It's not in the 90s though. Brooklyn Nets ain't gonna have 390 overall players. Just showing you. Devin Booker, one of the new top guys in the league. I love Devin Booker. You drop him down to a 25. It's 85. He's the same overall as Zion, Jason Tatum. All of those guys are the same now. Zion was just he was just better than Tatum and Booker. Now he's the same rate. He was just a 90 and they were like 88s, 89s. That are all the same. There's no difference between them. Zach LaVine, the guy that everybody made a fuss about, who I love in real life, one of my favorite players. If you know me, you know that. Goes down from an 88 to an 85. So now he's the same as Zion, Tatum, and Booker. Donovan Mitchell, I'll end on these guys. Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. 2K inflated their shit. Why? Because the Jazz are now the top team in the league. They've been the top team in the league for a while now. So, of course, with them being the top team in the league, they've got to have some top players, right? Drop Donovan Mitchell down to 25. He's an 84. That means he's worse than Tatum, LaVine, Brown, Zion. You drop Rudy Gobert down. He's the same overall as Donovan Mitchell. So in reality, the Utah Jazz, the best team in the NBA, they really only have 2 84 overall players. They don't have 88 overalls that they make you think that they have. That's my TED Talk, man. There's nothing more I can say to explain it. I advise all of y'all that have stood by and watched this entire video to take this information and do what you want with it. I love 2K. I've been playing 2K since it ever came out, since 2K. I'm 26 years old. I've played the first 2K all the way up to now. I love the game. I love to play with it. But until they go in and fix these issues and stop trying to brainwash people and satisfy people with this rating that doesn't mean, the overall rating that doesn't mean shit, until they do it, I'm going to continue to use guys like CelticLG, attention to detail rosters, guys who are putting in, again, hours, days, months, years to gather information and really figure out what all of this shit really means, to really make us have a stable, fun, and somewhat realism game. Yes, it's a video game. It's not going to be 1000% accurate to what it is in real life, but the more real it can be, the more fun it'll be for guys like me. I like to do real rebuilds and take my time and do things and try to make it as real as possible. It's not going to be super real because at the end of the day, like I said, it's a video game, but as real as it can be. You know what I mean? To where we're not going to have, you know, the Golden State Warriors signing 7 shooting guards when they already have Steph and Clay. But when you do 2K shit and you use their sliders and their rosters, that's what happens. I'm sure you all see it where there's a team that has like 3 point guards. And you're like, how the hell did Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, and Steph Curry all end up on the same team? You know what I mean? That's all. So, y'all be smooth. As always, it's your boy, Pee Wee the Plug. I'm out.